what are some realistic expectations for USC this year? This was a team that last year had playoff aspirations and fell well short of them, going just 8-5 with a win in the Holiday Bowl over Louisville. Now, entering 2024, they lose Caleb Williams. They go from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten, and they definitely do not have playoff aspirations. But could they get there? Are they legitimate Big Ten title contenders? What should we really expect from Lincoln Riley and his squad? That's what we're here to talk about today. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. Ready to break down USC's schedule for this upcoming season. Our final schedule preview in this series. I know you're all probably very excited for it to end, but we're ready to break it down today. Before we get going, though, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below, including our website, thegridironexpert.com. We want you to check that out. We want you to become a member of our GE Nation to take advantage of all of the exclusive content we have coming your way, already there for you. We've got predictions coming up here in the next few months. We've got great series coming up until then, so do not miss out on it. That means to subscribe, hit that notification button. Do not miss out on what we have coming your way. Do not miss out on the opportunity to become a member of our GE Nation. So USC, guys, it was a wild year. 6-0 start to a 2-5 finish. It just was not the year that anyone expected out of USC. The offense was phenomenal. The defense was atrocious. That was part of it, their undoing. Part of it was their defense was the issue, and part of it, I think, the mental aspect. When USC faced the adversity, when they got blown out against Notre Dame, which was the beginning of the end for them, I don't think they were able to really get back in the zone mentally to keep their hopes alive. When they lost to Utah to officially end their playoff hopes, they were definitely done. They were definitely checked out of the rest of the season. We saw that. But USC fans did get a preview of the future, the post-Caleb Williams era, when Miller Moss threw for 372 yards and 6 touchdowns in his first career start in their bowl win over Louisville. So the offense should still be very potent because Lincoln Riley's your head coach. The Grinch is finally gone. Alex Grinch no longer the defensive coordinator for USC. So in theory, the defense is going to get better. Let's see what USC can do now. Take a look at their schedule, guys. It is very, very tough. And this is one of those weird teams in weird seasons where you look at the Trojans and you go, because of the brand and because of the talent we know they have, they should be a consistent 9, 10, 11 win team. They should be challenging for titles. They should be challenging for playoff spots, especially now that the playoff has expanded to 12 teams. But you also look at it and you go, this team did just go 8-5 last year. And now they're facing what I think is a much more difficult schedule than what they faced last year. The Pac-12 was tough last year. You know, Washington, Oregon, they had to play Notre Dame. I mean, they played some good teams last year. But this year, they do maybe even more. That begins in week 1 when they take on LSU in Las Vegas. What a way to kick off the season. That's going to be one of the best week 1 games of the year. Obviously, one of the best games of week 1. We're going to talk more about that game here in actually a few weeks, so stay tuned for that. But that game, to me, is going to really set the tone for USC. It's one of those things where if they win, watch out. Maybe they're going to exceed expectations because it's an LSU team that has a lot of talent. Brian Kelly's won 10 games each of the years that he's been there in Baton Rouge. They had expectations to make the 12-team playoff after falling short of the 4-team playoff last season. This is one of those games where if USC wins, that sets the tone. If they lose and it's close, I'm not one for moral victories, but they go, hey, with all these new pieces and new parts, we'll take that. We hung with one of the better teams in the country in LSU. If they get blown out, there's a bit of a concern there. So the LSU game is really going to set the tone for the rest of the year. Then USC's got another massive test. Welcome to the league, USC. Your first Big Ten conference game is at Michigan. You get to come to the big house to take on the reigning national champions. Congratulations. Like that, what a way to begin your era in the Big Ten. Granted, Michigan loses tons of players, right? Jim Harbaugh's now gone off the NFL. They lose J.J. McCarthy. They lose Blake Corum. They lose so many key pieces on both sides of the ball. They're not going to look anything like the team that went undefeated and won the national championship last year. But they're still going to be a loaded team. They're still going to have home field advantage. They're going to be playing in one of the most tough environments, I think, in the entire country. USC, of course, benefiting off a week of rest and benefiting from playing a quality opponent in LSU in week 1. That, to me, is good. Even if they lose that game to the Tigers, being battle-tested against a quality opponent could help USC in this game against Michigan. I think having a battle-tested team against LSU, playing LSU, is going to be better than playing 2 or 3 cupcake teams in a row before playing your first big test on the road. That's actually going to serve, I think, USC very well. So Michigan there. Then Wisconsin, Minnesota, Penn State, Maryland, Rutgers, Washington, then you get your bye week, right? Here's the thing. Going into the month of November, you're looking at this. LSU's super tough, Michigan's super tough, Penn State super tough. Like, those are the three toughest games for USC prior to that second bye week. Even the Washington game on the road is not going to be easy, but I could see USC being favored in that. So it's one of those things where in the first eight games prior to Washington, can they be 5-3? Can they be 6-2? And we're not predicting games here, but you would expect them to beat Utah State. You'd expect them to probably beat Maryland. You'd expect them to probably beat Rutgers. Minnesota wasn't all that great last year. They could probably beat them, possibly. So do they find a way to win just one of those three tough games against LSU, Michigan, and Penn State? A neutral site, a road game, and a home game. It's not the worst thing in the world. They're not all on the road. You'd love to get them all in the Coliseum, but hey, at least, you spread them out a little bit. It's not entirely far-fetched to think that USC could do that. If USC takes care of business against the teams that they should, because here's the thing, and I will say this. You look at the teams they're playing after Michigan. Wisconsin, Minnesota, Rutgers, Maryland with some new pieces. None of those teams have the offenses to keep up with the Trojans. And that was the thing, right? Like, you knew in the Pac-12 when you played USC, you better have an elite defense or you better have an offense that can match USC step for step. Because if you can't do that, you're going to lose. I don't believe Wisconsin, Minnesota, Maryland right now, or Rutgers has the offense to hang with USC. And I'm not sure any of those teams, maybe outside of Wisconsin, who typically boasts a strong defense, have the defense strong enough to contain that electric of an offense. And that's what's going to bode really well for the Trojans here. When they play some of those weaker Big Ten teams, when they play some of those teams in the Big Ten West, that was one of the worst divisions in college football, that's going to benefit them. So it's not far-fetched to think they can win those games. And if they can win just one of those games against LSU, Michigan, or Penn State, watch out. This could be a team that's 5-3, 6-2, whatever, heading into the month of November. You enter the month of November, for me, that's the key stretch for them. That's the key stretch for them. They play Washington, UCLA, Notre Dame, and then Nebraska in there. But Washington, UCLA, and Notre Dame are all three teams that USC lost to last year and lost to pretty poorly. Lost to Washington by 10, lost to UCLA by 18, lost to Notre Dame by 28. So you've got three of your final four games against teams that you lost to. Can you redeem yourselves, or will those also be losses again? Washington, a completely different team. That's a winnable game. The bye week, you host Nebraska. Nebraska may be improving. Could this be the year they go bowling? We're not sure. That's a winnable game. At UCLA, the Bruins have a new coach, new schemes, new players. They lost by 18. It's in LA, not really a home game. That's a winnable game. The Notre Dame at home, that is by far the toughest game in the month of November. The Fighting Irish will be fighting, should be fighting for a spot in the 12-team playoff. Loaded with talent once again on both sides of the ball. That's their toughest game. Maybe they lose to the Fighting Irish, but if I'm a USC fan, I go 3-1 in the month of November. I'm pretty happy with that. So, again, we're not predicting games here for the Trojans, but this is a team that avoids Oregon. This is a team that avoids Ohio State. This is a team that gets a couple of their biggest games like Penn State and Notre Dame at home and another one in LSU on a neutral site, and a neutral site that's significantly closer to USC in Las Vegas than it is for LSU having to go from Baton Rouge to Las Vegas. So I would expect the USC faithful to be in greater numbers there than LSU. This could be worse for USC. I'll say that. It could be worse. If you really break it down and study it, the Trojans are not in a bad spot. They could be in store for a solid 8-9 win season. And for many, they go, 8-9 wins, that's disappointing. No. To me, that's a success in your first year in a new conference with major questions on both sides of the ball. New guy calling the defense, new quarterback, new players here and there, and a team that now doesn't have those lofty expectations hovering over their head like they had last year, but in the back of their mind knows we are USC and we are expected, regardless of what our record was the year before or whatever, expected to compete and expected to win. The pressure is certainly on for Lincoln Riley. He cannot afford to have another poor season, but the schedule to me is lining up to show that might not happen. He might not have another poor season. So USC is quite the anomaly entering 2024, and we'll have a deeper breakdown of the Trojans here when we do prediction season. So don't miss out on that. We'll predict every game on the schedule. You'll know exactly what we think the Trojans are going to do. But I'm here to tell you right now, they might not be as bad, and they might not struggle as much in the Big Ten as maybe we thought, or maybe you thought, just a few weeks ago. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. We've got some new videos coming your way here over the next few days. Schedule previews are done for now, but that means we're one step closer to prediction season, which is by far the best time of the year. So don't miss out on those. Hit that subscription button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on the future content. Check out our website, thegridironexpert.com. Become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.